It is love itself that brings us all together. This human family we are part of, this singular voice that is the accumulation of all voices, raised together in praise of all creation, this one heartbeat, this one drum, this one immaculate love that put us here together so that we could learn its primary teaching that love is the energy of creation and that it takes love to create love. This is from a beautiful book called Embers by Richard Wagamis. May he rest in peace. One Ojibwe's meditation. If you haven't read this book, it's well worth it. It's just a series of small sayings like what you just saw or just heard, and just a wonderful, encouraging book. So this Sunday at the Parish of Central Saanich, we worship at St. Mary's. We worship at 10 o'clock. St. Mary's is at 1973 Cultra Avenue in Saanich, and again, 10 o'clock at St. Mary's. This coming Sunday, Richard Routledge will be the preacher. Richard is one of our seminarians. Here in the Parish of Central Saanich, we consider ourselves a teaching parish, and the beauty of teaching is the learning that you get from the students. So I spend time mentoring various seminarians, postulants for ordination, etc. And the congregation is very much a participant, a full participant in this process of teaching, as all the seminarians tell me, and I believe it to be true myself, that there's so much to learn from the lay people of the church. So if you're out there, you're listening to this, you're part of the church, you've contributed to this education. Richard is actually a postulant for ordination in our diocese, meaning he is sort of in line for ordination. It'll come one of these days when God willing and the bishop willing, but we're not speculating when that is. But we only have Richard here in our parish till mid-September, and then he's on to different postings and stuff. So we're pleased to have Richard preach. We watch him serve, we watch him learn, and I know that he'll have something to offer on the Gospels of the week. This week we hear in Matthew's Gospel Jesus commanding the disciples when they're complaining or worried about the fact that they have 5,000 plus people to feed. The number is hard to imagine because if we include children and men, women, and children, it could be as high as 10,000. We really don't know, but it's sort of known as the feeding of the 5,000 colloquially. But let's just say that the beauty of it, and for me, at least the line that sticks in my heart, is when Jesus says, you feed them. In other words, he doesn't buy into the disciples' frustration and he doesn't rescue them. He says, you feed them. And of course, we know that miraculously they find a way. We too are called to have miraculous expectation and to know that in our world where there are many millions of people starving, the crowds are large. And yet, Jesus says to us, you feed them. So as we consider how to feed the hungry in our world, and I make no mistake of glorifying or spiritualizing the hungry, the physically hungry are very important human beings, and they need our care, love, and attention through whatever way we have of helping to feed them. Yes, is a spiritual component as well as about feeding people with the Word of God. But if you don't fill people's bellies first, we can't even begin to talk about the Word of God, I don't think. So, whichever or in both ways, as you look at these scriptures this Sunday, and I don't know the direction that Richard will go on his sermon. There is other readings, one from Romans, one from Genesis, and of course, as always, a psalm. So we do look forward. And again, I'd love to see you. To my friends that are out there internationally, Criswell in Kenya. I understand we have a friend now in Finland, people across Canada. I pray for you. I pray if you're anywhere near fire zones or smoke zones, let's call them, or flood zones, that you be safe and that your friends and neighbors be safe, and that this too pass, hopefully with God's intervention in the way of rain and beautiful restoration of our creation, God's creation. So thanks be to God for your journey. May it be a good one. If you're with us on Sunday or able to be with us, fantastic. If this is serving in some way or another for your worship, standing alone. I pray that this would touch your heart and that we would all hear the still, quiet voice of God. And that as we put our ears to the ground to listen, we would see, we would experience, we would feel, and we would hear God in all that we do. Thanks be to God, my friends. And as we reach this midway point in summer, may you be blessed, and it's my prayer that you're having a good summer and that all is well in your lives. Take care. God bless.